Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles and successes, how they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. I'm excited you could be with us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Today, we have another amazing woman that will share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. Our guest today is Anissa Short. Anissa is a best-selling author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Welcome, Anissa, to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for having me, and great day to everyone listening.
Amazing. Let's just start, Anissa, and I was looking forward to starting right here with you, is because you have an amazing passion and such an advocate for home-based entrepreneurs in so many different ways that you show this. When did you discover this passion for home-based entrepreneurs?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Melissa. I cannot pinpoint for you the exact date. But what I can say is after starting my own entrepreneurial journey, I started my own home-based business within the direct sales industry in 1999. And then in the year of 2006, my life pivoted when I made a decision to leave my great government job, as people say, and personal reasons and health reasons and things of that nature. But I felt at that point in time I went through what I guess the best way to describe it is like a valley experience, because I was like, okay, so what's next? Now, mind you, I had my home-based business, but I was always working a full-time job in addition to that. And so when I decided to leave the job, I was like, so what am I to do next? Thinking, what other career path I should take, et cetera. And all points led to developing my home-based business at a greater level. So without sounding too religious, I had to pray about it because I loved what I was doing. Don't get me wrong, but I was still kind of like, are you serious? I mean, really? This is it? That kind of thing. And so what was pressed upon me then is that the home-based business venture that I was a part of was a roadmap for me, and that my platform would be to support women in business and show them how to create success from home. And so over the years, that has evolved into one thing after the next. I am certain of one thing for sure, is that I am placed here to assist others in starting their home and building a strong home-based business, not necessarily starting, but helping them maneuver through the challenges sometimes that occur. And it's not necessarily within my sphere of influence. It's my specific business, but it does include that and then others. And that has evolved over the years to where I know without a shadow of a doubt that's what I'm called to do.
Wow, I was listening to you talk, and in these conversations, so often I see those parts of my own journey. So one of the things that stands out to me, Anissa, that you said that if you were in the direct sales industry, however, it was a platform, it was a building block for all that you were designed to do. And that is so huge because so many of us just see where we are. Like you could have just looked at where you were in that direct sales business doing well and been comfortable right there, right, and put the walls around you and stayed in that spot. But that was the building block to all the other stuff that was to come. And that is so amazing. But once you get there, you have to be willing to say yes to the new assignment, and that's what you have been so good about. Another thing, Anissa, I've watched you over the last 2 years and involved in so many different things, the amazing events that you host. I wish I was close enough to be a part of one of them, especially this one you got coming up. I'll let you tell us about that. But you host some amazing events. You do some speaking. You have books. It's all centered around encouraging and empowering others. Why is this so important to you?
So when I made reference to my platform is to work with women, entrepreneurs, that and the evolution of understanding that is one thing to be told that, but it doesn't always, depending on who you are, I'm kind of stubborn. you don't always see the bigger picture. You know, I kept looking at everything from a one-dimensional standpoint. And then when my husband and I relocated to the state of North Carolina, that's when things began to, the vision got larger, because I began to see other people, not see, but experience other women in business, working and building a business from home, not in my respective company, needing help. And for whatever reason, they felt like I had the answer. And so I would find myself having conversations with women saying, no, girlfriend, this is what I want to recommend for you. Here's what I want you to think. You know, change this little thing, that kind of thing. And my husband was like, you just did a 45-minute workshop on the telephone. Do you realize that? And I'm like, well, that's just my friend. She needed help. And that's when it was like, ta-da. That led to my first book. And then one book after the next. So my platform always has been to serve as a source of encouragement for women. Sometimes it's in the entrepreneurial arena. Sometimes it has evolved into just me being their voice of reason, or their supporter, or their cheerleader. So I say that my role is to educate, to empower, and to equip. But my primary focus are women, because I want to work with women exclusively. So the events you made reference to, Carolina, I started with my events. That was my way of gathering women into my space, because I moved to an area I did not know anyone. So when I moved here, I had to be creative, and I didn't want to do things from a traditional standpoint. I never wanted anyone to meet me as the woman that was trying to sell them something. I wanted them to meet me as the woman who was working to offer them something. And so hosting the events was my creative way to bring women into my space, to get to know me in a neutral zone, in an environment that allows all of us to, you know, have a good time, you know, feel comfortable, feel free, but to know and understand that this event is about helping you become a better version of yourself.
Well, that's brilliant right there, and I hope our listeners picked up on that even though you moved away into an area that was uncomfortable, you still looked within yourself to get creative and provide a service and meet people and grow to where you are. Another thing that you do, Anissa, is you reach out to the community as well. You have some community events, so you're constantly giving back to the community as well. Why is giving back to the community important?
Melissa, I truly believe in the philosophy or the principle that you reap where you sow. And so in moving to an area where I knew no one, and I live in a small town, and if anyone has ever lived in a small community, you know that they're very close-knit. They aren't always as trusting of people who are not, quote, from here. So it was important for me. It was important for me and to me. I was confident of this one thing. I was to bloom where I was planted. And so if moving to North Carolina is what was in our cards, you know, God bless my husband with a promotion, moving to North Carolina was a plus for us. If it was going to be a plus for him in his career, it was to be a plus for me as well, because I'm married to him. So I was not deterred by the fact that I wasn't always welcome with open arms. I was not treated badly, but just when you live in a small community, people don't know you. So you have to do what's necessary for them to not only become acquainted with you, but to become acquainted with you and to trust you. And so my decision to get involved in my community first was the strategy I used. So, yes, I got involved with a lot of community service-related events. I participated on planning committees for events in the city. That led to open doors of me meeting people, being engaged with people that I probably would not have otherwise met. And in the course of time, that then, of course, began to benefit my business, because it's inevitable. What do you do? And then there's the door open. And so as a result of me getting engaged and planting myself in the community, and also hosting things and participating in events that serve my community, those were the seeds I believe that were going to bring about the harvest. You give first, and then you receive. And that was the principle I just chose to abide by. And I asked God to give me an idea. And so getting involved was one, and then my event, Pumps and Pearls, was the other.
Oh, wow. You know, Pumps and Pearls event, you know, that's near to my heart. So I really, really love that event. And one of these days, maybe I'll be in your area and be able to participate in that. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. Today, our guest is Anissa Short. Anissa is a best-selling author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Now, Anissa, you have been in business a long time, and I'm sure it has not been easy all the time. Share with us what keeps you going even when it's getting hard.
That's a good question. That starts first with, I believe it has everything to do with my why. Because to start a business, most of the time people will say, especially when I'm coaching new reps, I may say, what is it you want? What would you like for your business to provide for you and your family? And they'll say, typically, just a little extra money. And then I want them to quantify that. What's a little extra money? Because 5 cents more is extra money. So is that all you need is an extra quarter, $2 or $3? I want them to put a dollar value to it. And so they may say $300 a month. That's most common. That's the most common response. $200 to $300 extra per month. Then my next question to them is, well, why that amount? Why that amount specifically? And my reason for asking that question, Melissa, is not just about the dollar amount, but it has to tie and connect with something that has greater value for them. Is the $300 extra needed because you are seriously strapped financially and you've got to get your head above water? Is that $300 necessary because you're determined to get your child in a better school? You like for them to go to private school versus public school, or have better daycare? Is that $300 necessary to help your parents who was on a fixed income? I believe that when we tie our goals to something that tugs at our heartstrings, when things get crazy, and they will, we won't be as quick to quit. We won't throw in the towel, because it's not really about the $300. It's about me being there for my parents. It's not really the $300. It's about me being there for my babies, And we will do the and then some when it's tied to our heartstrings. If it's just something abstract, we're easy to drop the ball and just quit or give up or start and stop, or just disappear. Mm-hmm. So that's where my thing is. I want to make a difference. And because I know that I am supposed to support other women, I am clear about that. I'm afraid not to do my job, because I feel like if that's what I've been called to do, if that's what I've been equipped to do, if that's really my purpose, then if I don't fulfill that, I'm falling short, and somebody is going to be adversely affected because I didn't show up. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense. That makes sense. Being clear to your purpose and the why that you're doing it all. Another thing that you said that I talk about often as well is when you have that goal in front of you, this is why I need this number. So it's not just setting the goal, but the piece that so many of us miss, and actually that causes so many of us to get off the journey sometimes, is because when we set the target, we then focus in on our purpose, on our why, and how we're going to get there. So I saw all of that in there. That definitely makes sense to me. That was huge. Those points were really huge and really helped somebody. I promise you that. So, Anissa, you face a lot of challenges. I'm sure over 20-plus years in business, you have ran into some challenges, whether it's with your personal life or in the process of growing your business. And oftentimes we focus on the challenges, and it just keeps us from moving forward to where we're supposed to be. So when you get into that place where you have some things coming against you, some things are not working like you thought, how have you been able to overcome those situations and keep going, not allow them to stop you?
Melissa, the foundation for me is my faith, honestly. That plus me being a little stubborn between the two, My faith is my foundation. So I choose to, and when I say that, I don't mean that I'm a religious person necessarily. People use that term kind of haphazardly. What I mean is that I have chosen personally to take the principles given to me in the Word of God and to apply them to my life. And when I find myself challenged, I have to find a point of reference, or I have to pull from that to keep me going. That's just who I am. I'm not perfect. I don't always hit the mark every time, but that's always been my go-to. And you're absolutely right. In 23 years, I've had a whole lot of drama to happen. People don't know. Mm-hmm. People say, as they say, I don't look like what I've been through. I mean, I've had personal challenges with my health, personal challenges with my husband's health. I've moved multiple times to different cities where I didn't know people. We've had financial stress because a lot of times when you have medical issues, the finance comes with it. It's been a lot. And then, of course, because my husband and I have oftentimes lived, well, I'm not going to say often, for the duration of our marriage, we have lived in cities where we had no family. So we had each other. We had to create our community, but we had to trust in God and rely on Him. I don't have any other option. I don't have any other option. I just believe that's the firm foundation from which I chose to build from. And so when I find myself up against a brick wall, that's where I go to. It hasn't always been easy. It hasn't always been pretty. It's always been real, though. And so that's just it. That's my answer in a nutshell.
And that's an amazing answer, and that's an answer that will encourage our listeners that they can lean into their faith or to lean into that thing that they believe in and push through those times, because they're going to come. You've heard me say, and anybody who follows me have heard me say, that entrepreneurship is not easy. It's hard. However, you have to pull into your purpose, your why, and for me, as well as what you just said, my faith, and that's what keeps me going. So thank you for that encouragement. I was looking forward to asking you this next question, because I did ask you this question before, but I just believe that the answer to this question and your thoughts on this question is worth repeating. When we talked before, one of the things I asked you about, a statement you made, said you have to listen to the right voice. And that is so important, because listening to the wrong voice can cause you some problems. So why is that important? What did you mean when you said you have to be listening to the right voice was important? And why is it important, and what did you mean about that?
Well, for those who are serious about becoming better versions of themselves, it's important that in doing that you have a mentor or a guide or someone to lead the way. And so that voice, that person, or that tribe should be filled with people who have the same level of ambition as you have and have attained certain levels of success that you desire, but in a way for which mirrors the level of integrity that you desire as well. That is the right voice for you. So, hypothetically speaking, just in generally speaking, we know quite a few successful people that might be in the pharmaceutical industry, but they're not the legal pharmaceuticals, right? And so on the outside, because of the things they own and, maybe the way they dress and the things they're able to do and the places they're able to travel to, one may think of them as successful. And they may be. They may actually be applying excellent business principles, to have attained their level of success. But is their level of success consistent with your integrity and your values? That question would be no. So it's not just that they are successful like you want to be successful, or they're successful as you are successful, but to parallel that, there is a principle, a story that is in the Bible, where a woman had a financial situation. She was in serious straits. She was in a desperate place. Let me say that. Her husband had died, and so she was looking at her children being enslaved to pay off the debt. And of course, back in biblical days, women, their identity was attached to either their spouse or their boys. They had to have a son or a husband to be able to live. Otherwise, they became like, I guess what we would say, a ward of the state. That was not a pretty place to be. But she went to a gentleman, told him her situation. He gave her steps to take. And as a result of her listening to his voice and doing what he said, her financial situation was remedied. Her children were not enslaved, and she became financially stable to the point that not only was she able to live comfortably for the rest of her life, but she was able to pass on success or stability financially to her children. What if she had not gone to this gentleman, and what if she had not listened to what he said? The people you listen to are vitally important. My pastor has taught years that our biggest resource, our greatest resource, are the relationships we build. And it's just a matter of making sure that you choose the right relationships.
Oh, wow, that was huge. So powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So, Anissa, what can we look forward to from you that you can share with us today? What's next?
Oh, well, the most recent thing I have going is my Pumps and Pearls, which is this Saturday. That is the event that I started almost 10 years ago when I moved to this area as a way to meet with women. The event itself serves to support women in business, support causes affecting women. And so this event, which is, of course, here in my city, Fayetteville, North Carolina, the theme this year is celebrating women in business. And so this year we're going to be awarding one woman. She's going to get a special recognition here. She has no clue because of her mentorship, because she's a successful entrepreneur in the area and how she's invested in others, the lives of others. So I'm excited about that. That is this Saturday. And then in the month of March, I will be traveling again back to Johannesburg, South Africa, to be a part of a TEDx conference that's hosted by the University of South Africa. Now, that I'm excited about. Oh,
wow. As well. Yes, congratulations on that. That is amazing. This has been a wonderful conversation, Anissa, and you have inspired and got us excited in so many different ways. Thank you so much for sharing. Do you have some final words that you would like to share with our audience to encourage them to keep going despite their circumstance?
Melissa, when I graduated from high school, I was given a gift by one lady that was a friend of our family, which is a poem, and the name of it is Don't Quit. And so I found it and going through some stuff. Let me just say that. Just going through some stuff, and I had it framed. And for years, I kept it on the wall of my bedroom when I was going through college, because, going through school is not always easy. Mm-hmm. Going to grad school was a challenge, but it stayed with me. And then later, I ended up taking it off the wall, and in the course of moving, it became missing. But I found it. And the name of the poem is Don't Quit. I would encourage everyone to get a copy of that and put it in your workspace, because it talks about when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, you want to smile, but you have to cry. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. And then it goes on and talks about how life can have twists and turns and this, that, and the other. And the last two sentences says, so stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. Everybody to get a copy of that and place it in your workspace and read it anytime you find yourself in a challenge, in a tight place, in a place where you feel like you're just throwing in the towel. Read this and read it again and commit to the verbiage, because it's got a great message, and I believe it applies to everybody, no matter what season of life you're in.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. That was amazing. Let our audience know how they can stay connected to you.
My website is AnissaShort.com, ANISSASHORT.com. I am getting it updated. You can find information about me there. My bio is there. If interested in me speaking, you can connect with me there. And then the books that I've written, can be purchased through that site as well.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Anissa, for being here today and just inspiring us all. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Melissa, for asking. I so appreciate the invitation.
Wonderful. And thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's edition of Dream by Design. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. Enjoy your day.